Welcome to The Food Whisperer, the podcast that helps you retrain your brain for healthy eating and exercise. Let's get started. Hello and welcome to another podcast. As mentioned, I'm Kate Pearce, founder of Nutrition Queensland and Healthy Little Eaters, because everyone deserves to be healthy. So this fortnight podcast topic is going to be all on the importance of protein. I know, right? Protein. It's all you hear, what everyone bangs on about, and it's quite boring really. But it's really important, especially if we're actually wanting to lose weight, feel great, and importantly, cut back on the sugar and the sugar cravings, because that's 100% what I'm all about, because that's what will radically change everything and support your transformation. It's the sugars, and protein can absolutely help reduce those cravings absolutely naturally. So in this podcast, I'm going to talk about the best types of protein, how much we sort of need for our bodies, and a bunch of things like that. So I wanted to kick it off really by saying my journey, and protein is something that I completely overlooked back in the day. Obviously, I was a registered nurse for 10 years, but obviously in the sort of the medical world, we're not taught anything really about nutrition. And then I went on my own delving into nutrition side of things, but I never really understood the importance of protein. And I actually swayed between being vegan and vegetarian for a good 10 years. It was just fascinating to see the different changes in my body when I began to implement meat back into my life, and how my body kind of changed and reacted to that. I'm not attacking a vegan or vegetarian lifestyle. I think it can be beautiful. I'm just going to report on the changes that I noticed since I reintroduced meat. And that's probably something that over time life was throwing me signs about, having to eat more protein and things like that. And I completely ignored it purely for the fact that I wasn't aware. And I was definitely on this railroaded, tunnel vision road that if I ate meat, it was going to kill me and it was going to cause all this inflammation. And I think when I reflect back, I think it did the opposite, had the opposite effect. When I look back at photos of me when I was sort of more that plant-based, I looked a bit more inflamed. My face was a little bit puffier. I kind of had love handles. I didn't really have a defined waistline, which I do now. And I was probably just a little bit, I've never been big, and I'll be the first to say that. I've never been, I would say, overweight. But looking back, I was definitely probably more inflamed, and I just was a little bit puffier, I guess, and not so much muscle definition that I have now. So that was a really, really interesting for me to look back on and reflect on. So with that, I thought I would do a topic around protein, just to help you understand it a little bit more, and something that I probably wish I understood it a little bit more back in the day, but no regrets, right? As some of you probably know, I was dealing with a pretty hefty skin condition. I'm not going to talk about it today because that's a topic for another day, but it's certainly on my Instagram. But I needed a cracking immune system, and I definitely think back to those times, and I think perhaps if I had upped my protein and cut my sugars back and my starches back, not saying I ate bad, I ate perfect vegetarian food, no processed sugar or anything like that, but obviously it's naturally higher in starches, beans, legumes, rices and things like that. And I kind of wish in hindsight that it would have been interesting to see if I'd cut those foods right back and focus more on higher protein foods, what could have happened or what would have happened with my body. But no regrets, right? We live and learn, and this is just what I can educate people on now. So some of the benefits of protein, which you would have obviously heard, is obviously it helps our muscles to repair. So if you're going to the gym or you're doing exercise, even if you're not doing a lot of cardio or a lot of weight training, it's just really important for the repair of our muscles. Protein can be looked at like the building blocks of life, and it helps all our body function really well. Another huge benefit of having enough protein is that it really helps your immune system, helps produce antibodies, and when we don't get enough protein, it can actually weaken our immune system, something that I wish I knew, as mentioned. So immune system, our tissue repair, it can actually really help us as we get older as well. I think we really need to boost our protein intake, especially as we get older and we come up to that perimenopause, menopause age. And I'm not quite there yet, but I'm sure I will be coming up in the future, but it's a lot of women have trouble in these days. And in my research, it's shown that if you really should up your protein intake and of course lower your sugar starches in this time period, because it's such a pro-inflammatory state, meaning our body's already quite inflamed because of the drop in hormones, the changes in hormones and things like that. So it's really good to balance our hormones, having enough protein. Obviously, it also really helps to keep us full and satisfied, which is so important, because in a perfect world, it's ideal to have sort of those rounded 3 meals. So a big, beautiful breakfast, big, beautiful lunch, and a big, beautiful dinner. And trying to cut out those middleman snacks, because that's what's actually going to cause that rise and sort of fall in your blood sugar level. And it can cause, again, the hunger, the carb cravings, the sugar cravings, and just make you have fatigue and low energy and feel like rubbish at the end of the day, or looking for a coffee at 10 a.m. and things like that. So the steadier we can get our blood sugar level, the better, and cutting out snacks is really going to do that. But the way we can do that without feeling hungry or deprived or sad is by making sure that we're having 3 square meals a day. And that's where, if we have enough protein in those 3 meals, we're going to be full, and we're not going to be looking for something, 3 to 4 hours after, which is absolutely perfect. So a really great way to check that if you're having enough protein is if you're hungry like an hour to an hour and a half after, say, your breakfast or your lunch, chances are you didn't have enough in that meal. Later on, we'll talk about how much you should be having, how much protein per meal. But that's a really good idea just to work out yourself if you're having enough protein is, am I hungry 1.5 hours later or 45 minutes later? It could definitely mean you're not having enough protein in that meal. And high protein can increase our glucagon-like peptide. You don't need to remember any of that, but just know that that's our full hormone, and it's kind of triggered when food enters our stomach, and that's what protein helps to increase. So again, it's that hormone that makes you realize, tells your brain that you're full. So if you're not getting enough protein, that's when you can start to crave more food and you don't get that proper signaling in your brain. So that's a really good reason to have protein again. So your brain tells you that you're full, so we're not overeating. And again, it comes back to, again, the blood sugar level. So if you're having that protein-rich breakfast in the morning, you're going to have a balanced start to your day. You're not going to have the big up, and then you're not going to have the big crash, and you're just going to feel so much better and balanced throughout the day. I always like to say stable blood sugar, stable life, because it's kind of true, because you don't get those big mood swings and mood crashes, and you feel more sort of balanced throughout the day. So in saying the benefits of what I've said about protein, which is feeling fuller, good immune system, good muscle repair, and just feeling more balanced and getting your hormones working well. If you look at the opposite to that, if you're not having enough protein, then your body again is going to be more inflamed because your immune system won't be working as well. Your tissues won't repair and heal as well. You might not get enough as much gains that you want to in the gym, because obviously protein helps to build our muscles, and you're probably going to be feeling a little more tired throughout the day and towards the end of the day. And you're also going to be noticing, again, these highs and lows of your blood sugar level, because you'll want a snack, and you just won't feel as balanced throughout the day. You might end up putting on a bit of weight gain, especially around your midsection, because if we're not having enough protein, we're going to be craving the sugars and the carbs, and that is what leads to the weight gain, especially around our midsection, which is actually contributed to a lot of visceral fat, which is fat that's around your organs. And it's due to excess sugar and excess starches. So again, they're all the different things that can sort of be detrimental if we're not having enough protein, and we're just not going to be feeling our best. So what are the best types of protein to eat? Well, firstly, it's important to realize that when we eat some protein, it's broken down into amino acids, and that's what our body uses to build muscles and repair and heal and grow and things like that. Now, our body can actually only produce 22 of the amino acids that it needs. So there's 9 amino acids that are called the 9 essential amino acids that we just can't get from, our body can't make. It can make 22 of them, but it can't make the other 9, and we have to get them from food. And that's where you would have heard perhaps people talk about complete proteins and non-complete proteins, which a lot of people say the plant-based are non-complete proteins, which is true, but there are some complete proteins that are plants. So yeah, that's where it's really important to know that we are getting these 9 essential amino acids through foods. And obviously animal-based products, it's a no-brainer. It's super easy because meat, like beef has it, chicken has it, fish has it, pork has it. All the different animal-based products contain these 9 essential amino acids. And there are plant proteins that also contain the 9 essential amino acids, and they are things like hemp does, soy does, but always buy that organic if you're going to buy soy, buckwheat and quinoa. So yep, you can certainly get your complete proteins from plants. I do work with people who just dead set want to be vegan, vegetarian, absolutely no problem. This is your life and you get to do whatever you want in it, and I do educate people around that. So let's say you're wanting to get, let's say 8 grams of protein from quinoa, which is about a cup cooked. Your body has to process around about 40 grams of carbohydrates. So that means that you're going to get a big spike in your blood sugar level as well because it's really high in carbohydrates. Let's say if you want to get, say, 20 grams of protein from buckwheat, which is a lot, it's like 3 cups cooked, your body actually has to process around about 100 grams. That's a lot, and that's what causes the spike in the blood sugar level so rapidly. And that's something that I would have been when I was vegan, vegetarian. I didn't realize what would have been happening to me throughout the day with all the rices, a lot of cassava flours. Again, I didn't have processed sugars, but I was having huge fruit smoothies, lots of beans and lots of legumes. Beautiful, but you are also getting those big rapid spike in blood sugar levels. And for me, it was just way too much. And I think for a lot of people, it's just way too much as well. So in terms of, if you're thinking, well, how much protein do I need? You can go by a few general rule of thumbs. I like to say, if you're getting at least 1.5 grams of protein per kilo of body weight, so let's say you're 70 kilos, 70 times 1.5, well, what's that, 105 grams of protein daily, that's a rough way to do it. Some people say you need up to 2 grams per kilo of body weight, but I would say, look, to be super safe, as long as you're getting that 1.5, you'll be okay. For women or for men who are really wanting to drop the weight, and to keep that body really nourished and satisfied, yeah, you can go up to 2 grams per kilo of body weight. But in saying that, if you're very much overweight, you won't want to use your current weight to work out your protein requirements. You'd be better off working out your goal weight and then basing your protein requirements off your goal weight. Because if you're, say, let's say you're quite overweight, 150, 160 kilos, having 300 grams of protein or something like that, or over 300 is going to be a lot. And I don't really think you need that much. So you can either go, if you're happy with your weight or you just want to decrease your weight a little bit or gain your energy or gain muscle mass, yep, go for your 1.5 to 2 grams of protein per kilo of body weight. If you're quite overweight and you're wanting to drop weight and become an ideal weight, then you can use that ideal weight to work out how much grams of protein that you'll need daily. And just remember, because a lot of my clients get caught on this, 200 grams of protein does not mean, 200 grams of, say, chicken does not mean 200 grams of protein. 200 grams of chicken is around about, it's more like 18 grams of protein or something like that. There's super easy apps that you can download and use if you're really into that kind of thing. Otherwise, if you really don't want to do any of that, you can just go by the size of your palm. If you had a piece of steak or chicken about the size of your palm, that's going to be great. That's going to be absolutely perfect. So the key, like I said before, is to really have split your protein up into, say, 3 portions. So breakfast, lunch, dinner. So let's say you wanted 90 grams of protein a day, where you'd go, okay, so 30 for breakfast, 30 for lunch, 30 for dinner. Now that's in a perfect ideal world, which we do not live in, but it's just an idea to get your head around how to split it up, and ideally a balanced even amount throughout lunch, breakfast, lunch, dinner is going to be absolutely perfect. So I hope that helps. And yeah, feel free to take it on board. Have a little look at your energy levels. Are you craving carbs? Are you putting on weight? Do you not have the muscle quality that you'd like to have? Really check in and have a look. Are you getting enough protein? And just think 1 egg is 6 grams of protein. So I like to have 3 eggs in the morning. I already know, bang, that's 80 grams of protein, 80 grams. I already know, bang, that's like, 18 grams of protein plus whatever I have. That's a 20 gram breakfast for me. And for my body weight and my size, that's absolutely great. So yeah, check in. You can even do a couple of before or after photos or something. Check on the first thing you'll notice that when you start to decrease your sugar and your carbs, increase your fiber from veggies and things like that, and your proteins and healthy fats, is the shape of your face. I look back to pictures of my face when I was in my sort of late 20s, early 30s, and it was really round. So it's not the natural shape of your face, what it is. It's just a lot of inflammation. So yeah, you can do some before or after photos, have a bit of fun with it. But yeah, have a look at your protein intake, make sure you're getting enough, and yeah, you can see the changes. And my body changed really radically when I introduced more animal-based protein. But that's just my experience, and everyone's experience is very unique to them. But if you found this podcast interesting, please feel free to share it with anyone that you think may benefit from it. Obviously, the more people that's feeling great and healthy in the world, the better this planet's going to be. So yeah, feel free to share it. And yeah, I very much look forward to seeing you on the next episode.